Hey folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. Today, Monday, December 14th, 2009. Well, folks, we have a little bit of an up day on Wall Street today. As you can see on the charts, we just are off the highs of the day, pulling back slightly. And I'm going to go over what the keys to the market are today. I want to know what exactly the technicals are showing us, what are the overall news, little tidbits that are coming out today, because they are actually somewhat significant. We didn't have a lot of economic news reported today, but there were some key little news tidbits that I want to go over. Number one, the Dow is up about 35 points on the day. The Nasdaq is up about 19, and the S&P 500 is up about 7.5. Really, the Dow and the Nasdaq and the S&P are up about 0.5%, maybe a little bit more. The Dow is lagging overall, while the Nasdaq and the S&P are a little bit higher than 0.5% across the board. Now, what the key tidbits are today in relation to what's driving this market. Number one, you have to look at the Abu Dhabi news today in relation to Dubai. That came out overnight. Remember, Dubai had a lot of those possible defaults going forward, and it really shuttered the markets on Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving here in the United States. And what was said basically, or what happened last night, overnight here, Eastern time wise, was that Abu Dhabi came out and said it's going to give $10 billion to Dubai to cover those immediate interest and debts that could look to go into the default range. Now, why is that so important? Well, it's because it's a dollar, folks. Remember, everything that happens overseas is going to have implications on the dollar. And remember, when the dollar strengthens, markets fall. When the market goes up, dollar must be going down. So you can see it's that inverse relationship. Now, when we saw the Dubai news hit originally about around Thanksgiving, the markets tumbled because there was a flight to safety in the dollar. Okay, so flight to safety to the dollar because geopolitically things were not as sturdy. So when geopolitically things are not as sturdy, flight to safety. Now, in relation to that, when things are safer overseas, for instance, when Abu Dhabi gives $10 billion to Dubai, that means things are safer. Therefore, you're going to see a run away from the dollar into riskier assets, whether it's stocks, whether it's foreign equities, whether it's foreign markets. You're going to see that run away from the dollar. That pushes the dollar down and causes stocks to go up. And that's exactly the relationship that you're seeing. Now, in regards to some other tidbits, that's number one, because that actually is why the markets are up today. You had a gap up in the markets. The markets did move higher than initially, and then you saw a pullback, and then we've trailed back to make new highs here in the markets. But the other news was ExxonMobil buying XTO Energy. I did a story last week, actually, about how natural gas looked to have possibly bottomed, and you were looking at stocks like Chesapeake and XTO, and you can find that on the article archives at InTheMoneyStocks.com. We talked about those stocks. Devon Energy is another one we talked about there, as well as some small caps to watch, mainly LNG. LNG with a high short percentage. I highlighted this to my premium members in the chat room today at $1.93. It hit my target today of $2.25, went to $2.28, but that is a huge gainer. There are a lot of people making tons of money on that small cap with 10% plus short in it, and that's why it was highlighted this morning to our premium members in the intraday stock chat. Huge gain there. But again, you can go on the article archives and see the natural gas story I did, which was highlighting XTO, and XTO got bought out. So anyone that went off that story made a ton of money on that buyout here. In addition, I highlighted Chesapeake based off the chart pattern here on the daily chart. And I said, look at this pattern right here, the pierce of the 200. This is a long play here to the long side on Chesapeake off the 200 first hit. And look at the bounce back. Chesapeake's had basically a 10 to 15% move off of that analysis story and where we highlighted. So huge move on Chesapeake. Devon Energy, XTO, obviously. XTO getting bought out by ExxonMobil. That's just a monstrous move. Exxon is getting hit today, as you can see. Here's Exxon's chart, piercing the 200 moving average. Now, the reason why that's getting hit, because it's an all-stock deal, so it's very dilutive to the overall in ExxonMobil shareholders. All right, all-stock deal, billions of dollars, obviously, and it's dilutive, and that's why you're seeing Exxon come in here. While on the other side, you're seeing XTO. Here's XTO, have a big gap up $6 and change today on that deal. So, again, that's the main news for the day. That is driving this market. And just to recap, you're seeing the markets across the board positive on the day. Dow is up 32 points, NASDAQ up 19, and S&P 500 is up about 7.5. Now, let's go to the intraday charts of the SPY. Let's touch on what's going on here, folks. Right away, number one, I'm seeing the 112 level even number. That is resistance right now. That's exactly at the highs of the day. See this dotted line up here? That was in my charts, and look, we came right up there and then sold. So that would have been a little bit of a resistance area to look to see a pullback. You are seeing a little bit of a pullback there on the SPY. In addition, what I want to just highlight to you is look at the level here, folks, all right? See this from Friday's high, Friday pivot high, double top right here, where you had that beautiful little sell-off before we kind of trailed on light volume for the rest of the day, back to the upside on Friday. Well, take a look at those highs and then look at the low today on the market. See this point right here, how it matches up to these two highs? That's telling you that's a buying opportunity, folks. I gave that out in the chat room as a possible long, even right at the open. I said if we pull back into that double top from Friday, that's going to be your long opportunity. In fact, it was from this point all the way up to this resistance here. What a beautiful move. Now, the markets are starting to fade here, and again, it all is in relation to the dollar. So if the dollar is strengthening here, which it is, you can see a little bit of a pullback. We just had Obama coming out on TV as well, saying he had a meeting with the top bankers out there, the top financial institution firms, CEOs and such, and kind of talked to them and tried to get them to start lending and so forth, which is a whole nother battle. I'm not going to get into that on the intraday, but I just want to go through the technicals of this chart. And right now, you're seeing a beautiful little double bottom here, or low pivot right here at the double top from Friday. That was your buying opportunity right to this 112. You can see a pullback. If we get through 112, you're going to go to 112.30 and then 112.50. Those will be your upside resistance points to watch. All right, folks. Now, volume today remaining very, very light. I mean, it is insanely light volume right now in the markets. Have to keep that in mind. That always gives a neutral to upside bias in the market when you have light volume. You have to expect light volume pretty much going until the end of this year, and then January you're going to have that surge come back where everyone comes back from vacation, and it's all on again, folks. Now, the key is going to be in the next 2 weeks, you're going to set up for some major moves, and this is where you have to be in tune with the market, folks. You have to watch the market in these next couple of weeks because there's going to be key things that are going to happen and moves that are going to happen that are going to tell you exactly how to position yourselves going into the end of the year and where to position yourselves for the next move coming in January. And there will be a big move in January, so be ready for that, folks. And again, it's either going to be look for breakouts either above certain levels, which the research center guys know, or if you're talking about a pullback, it would be a confirmation signal to the downside off of a reversal or pivot top put in, and that would be the move to the downside. You have to know when you're going to how you're going to position yourself. If you're not positioned going into the end of the year, you're going to miss out on it, and too many people that I know have missed out on way too many moves this year. All right, so again, looking into 2010, be ready. It's going to be wild. You want to be all in tune with this. And with that, I want to suggest you join the Research Center, which includes tons of things. By the way, some of the huge calls that were just on the Research Center recently, a head and shoulder played out beautifully to the target on RIG. We had the DZZ gold short. That was another beautiful call given to the Research Center subscribers, as well as one of my favorites here, SUTR, which was a little steel stock in China. A beautiful little move here, gave it to everyone right here, and this is the move off of our call in the Research Center, just on the hot charts and alerts, not to mention the nightly videos, daily market reports, technical tactic, educational videos, Pro Trader watch list. Beautiful call on the Pro Trader watch list that we took off today was Chesapeake, guys, and I just mentioned that earlier on. Chesapeake was given out at around $22 or so, just underneath 22, right around that 22 level, and it's up easily 10% to 15% from those levels. Beautiful move today on that Chesapeake. You had to know that one. It was an obvious call right there, a no-brainer if you ask me, and that's what it's all about. I want to position ourselves along with our premium members where you have the most potential, highest percentage ratio of winners, which is 80 to 90%. That is what we go for, folks. And again, you can see it beautifully there on that Chesapeake chart. Now, a couple other things. I do have a new small cap that I will be highlighting in the Research Center tonight on the hot charts and alerts. I think it's going to be the next runner from the way it's trading today. I've mentioned it before to the premium members, and they may be able to guess it. But again, I'll post it tonight. I do like it, and you want to be on top of this one, folks. Again, I do think there has potential for this stock to possibly go up as much as 25% over the next week or so. So be ready. You want to join in and get that information, as it's going to be another huge winner along with all the other winners in the Research Center. Have a wonderful afternoon, folks. We will talk to you soon. Take care.